Hi, welcome back to our channel. I'm Tiffany with the Danleys.
And I'm Shawn with the Danleys, and as you can tell, it is winter in
Yay!
Prescott. And on today's video, we're gonna talk about what a lot of people call and say they want that nice cabin in the woods. What's the reality of a cabin in the woods?
Is it livable year-round?
Yeah, are you really prepared for the winter weather? We're only, 4 miles from the downtown courthouse square, and as you can tell, there's a fair amount of snow on the ground. So it's not always like this, but when it happens, it comes down pretty good. So let's talk about the pros and cons of living in the woods.
We're also going to talk about things that you need. Your Honda Civic is not going to make it in the snow when there's this much snow on the ground.
Exactly. Are you set up for driving in winter weather with four-wheel drive or a Jeep or all-wheel drive? Because if you don't have that, you're going to be stuck like a lot of these other cars in this neighborhood, which you'll see.
I think the other thing too to keep in mind is not all of these homes are accessible year-round. They don't plow all the roads. Some of it is not county maintained when you get to a certain point. So you're going to either need to have a snow blade on a quad or a side-by-side or a truck, or you're going to have to hire a local service to do that for you. There are a few neighborhoods like the one we're going to tour today that are year-round accessible.
Well, the other part of it is if you're like a lot of the cabin owners in this part of town, they might be second, third homes, and so you could be one of only 2 people on the entire street that live there full time.
And you could be at the end of the street.
Exactly, and so if, ADOT, Arizona Department of Transportation, and the cities, they're gonna work on the main thoroughfares and the highways first, and then the secondary neighborhood roads second. All right, so here's an example. The residents up this road, somebody's got a plow or a blade on the front of their vehicle or an ATV and did a pretty decent job clearing the snow off. So good on them. Now the owners on this road do not. And this road goes up a good mile or two. So that's the reality. So you could be the first one in or the first one out of the neighborhood and have to kind of dig your way out. So are you sure you're prepared for that?
The other thing too is if you have kids that are school age and they need to take a bus, our buses aren't equipped with four-wheel drive or chains. So they'll call snow days quite a bit. And if you're in this area, you probably are going to have a few more than if you're in Prescott Valley.
Absolutely.
So let's say you choose to purchase one of these cabins and it's going to be your full-time residence and this is a drive that you're going to make, or maybe it's a second home and you want to come up during the winter months. Maybe you want to spend Christmas up here or Thanksgiving and we've had fresh snow. This particular neighborhood is located up Senator Highway, which if you're coming from town is going to be Mount Vernon, where all the cool historic homes are. It's about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes in traffic from the courthouse square. There are many full-time residents that live in this community, and during this driving tour, the services were running. So we saw a propane delivery truck, we saw not only UPS, FedEx, and Amazon out there. The trash trucks were running. As you can see, there's a trash can up there in this video. Some people were snowed in, maybe they don't need to go anywhere. Other people had cleared their driveways and maybe they were headed into town. But keep in mind, if we get snow, ADOT is going to clear the roads. They're going to be county or city maintained roads, so ADOT is going to clear them, but they're going to clear the highways first, like Shawn mentioned. So if you're at the end of the road like this, you may be on your own for a little bit. So if that doesn't scare you off, I will tell you, you're going to live here. Be prepared to do what this adorable couple is doing that we ran into on our tour this day. They were out shoveling snow, having a great time, laughing. They had actually thrown snow at each other a little earlier. It was adorable. There was also another couple that were out shoveling snow off their steps. So hope you have a shovel. So maybe you are thinking of a second home or a cabin in the woods that you just come up for in the summer. These would be some examples of what they might look like after a snowfall. This Prius right here on the left is not going anywhere anytime soon. This is further up. I'd say this is about 6 miles in to Senator Highway. There were some full-time residents past this, but at almost 6,300 foot elevation, you're definitely going to see the white stuff flying from the sky. While Shawn may have temporarily questioned my ability to drive on wet, icy, and snowy roads, we did just fine. So let's talk about what living here in a cabin in the woods of Prescott might actually entail.
Okay, so we've talked about this amazing idea of having a cabin in the woods, right? But let's talk about reality. Can you insure it? Stick around, we're gonna go chat with our favorite insurance broker, Lucas, and see if that's a possibility. So Lucas, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why somebody would be interested in using a broker as opposed to going directly to one of the big name insurance companies?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, I represent a lot of the big name companies. As a broker, you're really dealing with a person, an agent. That's kind of the value that I try to bring to the table for all my clients, is where, building relationships with my clients, getting to know them, handling their current needs, working with them year over year as their needs change. But as a broker, I'm not tied to just one company or two companies. I've got dozens of different companies that I work with to help my clients find the best options.
Wonderful. Can you speak a little bit as to what you've seen in general occur with the insurance industry over the last 12, maybe 24 months? Are you seeing companies leave? Are you seeing companies come into our market? What are you seeing for Prescott?
Yeah, it's been pretty volatile. With some of the companies that I work with and other companies that I don't work with, just a lot of changes with the landscape. Part of it has to do with kind of changes to the wildfire maps. Certain zip codes areas have become kind of a higher wildfire risk area. So some of the insurance carriers are just slowly pulling out of those zip codes or areas, but there's still a lot of options available. It's just knowing which carriers to go to find the right coverage based on where the houses are at. So
sure, that makes sense. So should somebody own a cabin in the woods? I know we've heard, with the wildfires that are going on to our neighbors to the west, and they're having state-backed insurances that are being provided, and that's what they're having to get. Is that a possibility to get insurance if you're in the Tall Pines?
It is an option, yeah. So as far as the long-term solution, I don't know if kind of government intervention is the right move or the wrong move. There still are some options for just standard carriers. As a broker, one of the things that I like about my job is there's a lot of brand name companies that I work with, but in some of the higher risk, pine, areas, heavy treat areas that we have around Prescott, I can go to some of my excess and surplus lines market. Sometimes they call it an E&S market, where it's lesser known companies, but they kind of focus on that high risk stuff. Naturally, the clients that are buying those cabins, miles off grid, can expect to pay a little bit more.
Sure.
But at least they're still able to find coverage. So 98% of the time we can still find options for those clients. There's sometimes we can't, and there's other carriers out there that should be able to assist those clients. But I always recommend people kind of do their due diligence if they're buying something. But Prescott's a beautiful place. The cabins are awesome. So just doing a little bit of homework beforehand to make sure the property is insurable, kind of get an idea of those insurance costs, so it's not a surprise come closing
Sticker
time.
shock at the end of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you too, so we do have a lot of people coming from California for obvious reasons, and a lot of them are having to do that additional fire coverage as opposed to just a homeowner's insurance policy. Is that something you're seeing in our market, or is that not necessarily common here?
The good thing about a good quality policy, it's going to be all encompassing. So there are some options that are just a fire policy. It's just coverage against fire, really nothing else. A standard homeowner's policy will cover against fire, whether it's an electrical fire or forest fire. Also covers against wind damage, hail damage, theft of the content. So
Sure.
really a full comprehensive policy is usually readily available, and that should be all they need versus two separate policies.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing this with everybody. And
You're welcome.
if anybody has any questions, what's a great way to reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks. So local here in Prescott, downtown Prescott, my office phone number 928-800-5630. The Lucas Flood Agency, Atlas Insurance Brokers online. Give me a call, shoot me an email. Look forward to working with you.
He's the guy we send everybody to, so if you have questions, he definitely knows everything about our market.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So if you can live with everything we discussed in this video and you're ready to come play in the woods and buy a cabin in Prescott, feel free to reach out, 928-800-4707. Thanks for watching.